Ouran High School Host Club is a parody reverse harem shoujo manga from the early 2000s, where the main protagonist, Haruhi Fujioka, stumbled upon what looks to be an abandoned music room for some peace and quiet time to study, to only be greeted by a group of dashing boys with flirtatious tone. Unfortunately for Haruhi, while trying to dispel the misconception of her arrival to the unknown to her host club, Tamaki thinks she's an openly gay boy coming to the host club to meet with a host of her dreams. She knocks over an expensive vase, however you want to say it, that she simply doesn't have enough pennies to pay off for on the spot. Knowing this, the host club members appoints her to be their errand boy to pay off her debt, which she eventually gets upgraded to a host member herself and is required to get 100 guests requesting specifically for her as their host. It's a silly fun anime dedicated to solving the problems of standalone characters that are introduced in each episode, with the host club members acting as counselors or support. They mainly help due to their club leader getting emotional and wanting to help these people in any shape or form that he can. Lost lovers, professing your love to your crush, reuniting with estranged siblings, summer vacation jobs, and many more adventures in the manga with Mei or Honey Senpai's gothic occultist girlfriend, right? I personally, like those of you who grew up watching Ouran, absolutely love it. Though there are some scenes in the anime specifically that have not aged well, and we'll get to that later in the video. This series is still one of my favorites, and without all the weird additional dubbing mistranslations that they've added in the anime, the manga tries its best to tackle really tough conversations here and there. I'm specifically remembering the relationship between Mei and her father, Misuzu. Mei is angry that her father had divorced their mom and left. She feels abandoned and doesn't really hate him for being a drag queen, but she's just got so much anger and doesn't really know how to come to terms with feeling as if he just abandoned her, right? And she doesn't really know how to properly communicate with her dad and how to really reunite with him. She's just really angry at him. It's a tough topic, and the fact that it was even introduced is amazing, since stories like that I feel like weren't that common in anime, and I just appreciate that it was out there. I love how stupid the jokes are and how it pokes holes and makes fun of shoujo tropes, and not to mention reverse harem tropes and cliches and scenes. It's just making fun of everything. It's trying to parody as many things as it can, and actually on that note, I would never recommend Ouran to someone who has never watched anime before, because a lot of the satire and parodying might just go over their head because they're not used to what the show is really making fun of, because they haven't either watched enough shoujo to understand what the tropes are, or just are way too new to see all the silliness, right? For instance, if Honey Senpai on the first episode doesn't scare away most of the people that are watching Ouran for the first time, especially now, it's bound to be the Hitachinn twins. People are going to be super freaked out by these two weirdos that they won't even get far enough to really learn to love the Hitachinn twins or even go on to read the manga, where I feel like these characters are really well written, really well fleshed out. Because the Hitachinn twins are one of my favorite characters, and their arcs, the things that they have to overcome, them learning to not be codependent on each other, is the best writing that I've seen so far in Ouran. Ouran takes jabs to a lot of things like shotas, incest, reverse harem, because this is a reverse harem, overly princely characters, or the silent tsundere type, the conniving type, whatever it may be, right? So really, if you haven't been exposed to that material before, I don't really think you're going to enjoy Ouran that much. I would love for this show to get a reboot like Fruits Basket 2019. To me, the first few episodes are my go-to to watch when I'm feeling bummed out. Even just listening to the opening and outro songs makes me smile. Personally, I prefer the dub with the exception of certain episodes. I also liked little details like the kite flying high on a positive note or spiraling down on a negative beat. First thing you should notice, and specifically Ouran Academy, is how freaking pink the entire school is. It's so pink, so cute. And two, how disgustingly rich every single person is. So rich that instant coffee is an anomaly that mind blows them.
So it's true then, poor people don't even have enough free time to grind their own coffee bean.
No, I'll keep it. I'm going to give it a try. I will drink this coffee!
They're so disconnected to the point where one of the girls at the host club says that she's afraid that her father will get mad at her for drinking instant coffee, to which Tamaki, in the most cringe way possible, responds with this corny line.
What if I let you drink it from my mouth?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The characters of this anime and manga heavily contribute to your enjoyment of the show. If you don't like any of them, then, well, you're not really going to like this wildfire of an anime. Let's start off with Honey-senpai and Mori-senpai.
Who's responsible for this?
He wanted tea, so Usa-chan decided to have a drink.
Honey is clearly a Shota parody, and then you have Mori, who's like this tall, mysterious kudere, right? I feel like he's a kudere. Other than Kyoya, Honey-senpai is actually one of the first few members to figure out that Haruhi is a girl. He is a third year alongside his cousin Mori. In my opinion, Mori is like the only person who tends to treat Haruhi like a regular person and doesn't really talk to her like a toy or a thing, like a little mere commoner. By the way, in the manga, there are actually 2 spring arcs, and that's why in the manga after summer with May, right, Mori and Honey are still third years, because the author was like, hey, I don't care that it's inconsistent. I want to write another, spring arc, so let's go. Let's give these characters more time to have character development. And I enjoyed that. I liked it because it was fun seeing them interact with May as well, right? Honey-senpai is a sweetheart. Despite looking like a kid and being childish about his squishmallows and cake, he is very mature. In the manga, Kaoru often ends up visiting and sharing his worries and concerns with Honey-senpai, and especially when he starts having an actual fight with Hikaru over Haruhi and his fears of being a little too codependent on Hikaru, right? Honey offers as much support as he can and even lets Kaoru stay over at his place. Mori provides the same sort of support for Hikaru in the manga. I also like how Mori and Honey are the first few to acknowledge that everyone else in the club is starting to fall for Haruhi, other than Tamaki, right? So in the manga, a girl from the occultist club, Reiko, tries placing a love spell on Honey-senpai to make him fall in love with her for stealing her soul. The mangaka tries to point out how all of Honey's fans like him as in a more maternal way, but Reiko is the first one to fall in love or start having a crush on Honey-senpai for his personality and how he is as a person, and she's just really terrible at communication, and that's why she feels the need to curse everyone and anyone anytime she wants to talk about something to them, and she's just struggling to try and connect with Honey, right? And she's awkward as hell. Like I said, instead of engaging in small talk, she tries placing curses. Honey is absolutely terrified by her at the beginning. He is just scared, running away, and he just runs away from her. But eventually, Honey ends up encouraging her to just simply talk with him, to engage in some sort of simple conversation with him, to get to know each other better, because he doesn't like that she's just trying to place a curse on him without even just saying, hi, hey, my name's Reiko. You're Honey, right? Like, she doesn't even properly introduce herself. She's just placing curses on him and is just trying to win his heart. She obviously has a crush, but she's not trying to get to know him better because, like I said, she's really awkward and doesn't know how to communicate with him properly. So he's like, hey, come to the host club. Let's sit down, eat sweets and snacks, and get to know each other. Communication is key, is what he's saying. So yeah, that's how Honey gets a hot gothic GF later and wife by the end of the series. Overall, I like to think of Honey as a very sweet, nice character doing his own thing, but someone who won't shy away from delivering harsh truths to his friends when they need to hear it, right? And he will do his best to support his friends as much as he can. And yeah, that he hates Tamaki's grandma because she is a nasty character. Same goes for Mori, except the man, I wish the man had more lines other than Yeah. Like, show him some love. Even he even had a lot more to say in the manga than in the anime. The anime just did not let him speak. But then again, he doesn't speak as often, right? Next up, Kyoya.
Why is he sulking?
Because Mommy was keeping a secret from Daddy.
Whatever. Why does everyone insist on referring to us like we're husband and wife?
He is a calculating sly tsundere. If you even want to say that that's what he is. But I think that's what he is. You know, at least that's what I think he's parodying, right? He has a lot of pressure placed on him as the third son to do better than his older two siblings by his father. Being pit against your siblings by your father sucks balls. And sadly, Kyoya finds himself on many occasions being publicly shamed by his father and even slapped on several occasions, which, daddy, chill.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
Kyoya had at first reached out to Tamaki simply because his father would have loved to have the Suo family on their side for future business endeavors. He was willing to be Tamaki's shadow and to put a spotlight on him. Kyoya gets super frustrated and annoyed by how dense and idiotic Tamaki is. Early in their friendship, he crashes out on Tamaki after Tamaki shows no interest in being the head of Suho family, something Kyoya is being egged on to chase after by his father, even though he has zero chances of achieving it. Annoyed by Tamaki's ignorance and status, Kyoya lets his mask slip in front of Tamaki, yelling at him, showing him his true personality, which makes Tamaki happy. The two can finally just be themselves in front of each other without needing to keep up certain appearances for the sake of their families. This small incident marks the beginning of their strong friendship. Kyoya and Tamaki's friendship is so strong that eventually in the manga, during the field trip to France, which Tamaki is not allowed to go, he's forbidden by his grandma, Kyoya goes and hunts down his mother. Right, because he knows that Tamaki hasn't been able to see his mother ever since he was 14, when he was forced to move to Japan, right, for the sake of being able to help his mother. They were lacking money, she needed treatments, and really, this was the best way to make sure that his mom wasn't as sickly as she was and to have her find some sort of medical attention. Tamaki's mother, like I said, was offered an ultimatum of handing Tamaki over to the Suho family in order to receive some sort of assistance with her family's failing business and her medical cost. Ooh, I said coast, like a coast. I don't know why I said it the way I said it. So, at the age of 14, Tamaki, like I said, moved to Japan and was living with, well, wasn't even living with his family. His grandma did not allow him in the main Suho family mansion. He actually was supposed to live in the second mansion. I get that her life was hard. I get that she had to really grind to keep the empire, the Suho empire, afloat after her husband died, but ma'am, you do not treat your grandchildren like shit, okay? So Kyoya ends up passing out in front of Tamaki's mom's house, and she ends up coming over and, having him taken to her apartment or her house. He wakes up there and notices a bunch of photos from recent host club activities on her, counters and stuff, right? Meaning that clearly Tamaki's father was in contact with the mother and was sending her all these photos of Tamaki growing with his friends, So Kyoya responds back to Tamaki and keeps him in the loop, right? I just love that Kyoya went out of his way to seek out Tamaki's mother. No one asked him to. Tamaki didn't ask him to. He just did it because he wanted to, because he's a really good friend. And I really appreciate that about Kyoya. He likes to not show off how much he cares about his friendship with Tamaki and how much he puts in effort, but he does. That's why he's a tsundere, okay? He likes to brush it off like, it's not a big deal, whatever. But he loves Tamaki, Remember that Kyoya is mommy and Tamaki is daddy in this Ouran found family, right? These two, they're so close. I envy their friendship. I love that they're besties and how important their friendship is to each other. Also, because this is a reverse harem, don't forget that Kyoya kind of has a soft spot for Haruhi as well. Anyway, here's a quick fun fact from the manga. that the mangaka shared about Kyoya. So the Kyo in Kyoya's name comes from the word gankyo, meaning spectacles. Moving on to Tamaki.
Say, Mommy dear?
What is it now, Daddy?
The most dramatic Prince Charming cornball of them all. Figuring out the trope that he is parroting, in my opinion, is pretty simple, right? He is the loudest of them all. He is all of the cringy tropes out there. He is flirtatious but obnoxious as hell, interested in the day-to-day lives of commoners, and dives into as many regular folk activities as he can. In the pursuit of educating himself on the struggles of the average common class folk, he ends up often roasting them since he lacks a proper filter. On the other hand, a lot of the host club's diverse settings and fun days that they have are all inspired because of Tamaki's interest in broadening his knowledge on different cultures and practices, so that's a plus, I guess. They end up celebrating all cultures. He wants to get along with everyone and he tries to help as many people as he can, and that is something that I can admire about him. Tamaki strives to help as many lovers make amends, coach kids into becoming mini Tamakis, help families reunite with one another on many occasions. I will say, we all know his biggest flaw in the anime and a little bit in the manga, which he eventually drops, is his insistence on Haruhi dressing up more feminine and like a girl and how girls are supposed to dress. He has to have flaws, he can't be perfect, right? Plus, he hasn't come across a person like Haruhi. I really think it's because Tamaki just hasn't been introduced to someone like that, and then eventually he learns to get over it, right? The more he meets new people like Ranka, Misuzu, and Mei. Tamaki's mother, as I mentioned earlier, is still in France, and his grandma is heavily against the two of them being reunited, and she's just angry and takes it out all on Tamaki. We do see that at the end of season 1. I'm saying as if there's more than one season to this anime. There's a point in the manga where the grandma starts dictating whether Tamaki can affiliate himself with his host friends or not. She has a problem with Haruhi because not only is she poor, well, yeah, that's it. Good news is Eclair does not exist in the manga. Tamaki and his father. I like their relationship from time to time, although sometimes I do feel like his father could have gone about the way he did things in the manga a little differently towards the end of the manga, right? When he lets his grandma be a total bitch to Tamaki, but whatever. You can tell that his father really loves him and cares a lot about him, right? The teddy bear, I think, is a gift from his father, and the teddy bear to Tamaki represents family, so that's why you see his little dumb teddy bear everywhere. In the sports festival arc, he writes, okay, that's in the manga only, so it's not in the anime, but he writes letters to the host club with invisible ink while the club is receiving hate mail from other people to kind of confuse them all and to kind of make it harder, I guess, to figure out who's writing the hate mail. He's devious. But the letters, the blank ones, were all from him just being a dotting parent, like telling Tamaki how much he loves him, or if Tamaki wants to have dinner with his daddy, you know, all this stuff. He just loves teasing him, and it's just so silly. He also did that because he was like, oh, I thought you would like this because invisible ink is like some sort of thing that commoners did back in the day or some shit. So around chapter 40 of the manga, Tamaki gets sick after having a sweet interaction with Haruhi in chapter 39-ish. She's very sweet to him and she supports him, and she doesn't really make fun of him for how he helps other people, especially when it comes to helping, you know, strangers forge stronger bonds with their family members and meet up with family members after a fight and stuff. So, you know, he helps this girl named Michelle, a new student who is royal, but she's not really rich. She makes all the students go through hell. She makes the host club members go through hell, pretending to be super wealthy and having so many maids. And, you know, everyone just wants to make her feel accommodated and comfortable at Ouran, and she kind of is being bratty because she's far away from her brother. And so Tamaki works really hard to try and make her brother come all the way from wherever country he's from and meet with Michelle, and the two of them reunite. And it's really cute and sweet. And he mainly helps Michelle because Michelle kind of looks like his mom, a younger version of his mom, and he's kind of like, oh my god, I know you're not my mom, but mom. In that moment, Haruhi gives him a very genuine smile, because she is genuinely touched by his kindness. And, she kind of opens up to him and talks a bit more about why she wants to be a lawyer. And, she wouldn't laugh at him and his dreams. And his heart skips a beat. He, in that moment, when Haruhi's being vulnerable to him, finds himself wanting to kiss her, right? And he's like, oh crap, like fathers don't want to kiss their daughters? What the hell, right? And so he gets sick and he's in denial, right? He has constructed this really nice relationship with his found family. Kyoya is mommy, he is daddy, Haruhi is his daughter. The twins and the others are a part of the family as well, right? So he really doesn't want that family falling apart. And he has this really strong feeling towards the host club members because his own family was dysfunctional. So he's trying to make something that's functional, and he's really paranoid of losing that relationship with the existing members. So he has trauma. So now that he's like, oh no, fathers don't want to kiss their daughters romantically, he walks up to Mori senpai and he asks him, do you ever find yourself wanting to kiss Honey senpai? To which Mori, with a blank face, is like, no. So, boom, next day, Tamaki is sick. He doesn't come to class. He is just being dramatic in bed, right? Even his father, Chairman Tsuho, comes to visit him and teases his son here and there, right? He gives his son a kiss on the forehead, and and Tamaki calls him a pervert. It's like, you're a pervert. And his dad is like, no, I'll always feel like kissing my adorable son, no matter how old he gets. When classes are over, the host club comes to meet Tamaki to see if he's okay. He's a little lightheaded and is just rambling here and there. And Haruhi walks up to greet the father. Like, she wanted to say, thank you, Chairman Tsuho, for paying for my scholarship and yada yada, when Tamaki grabs her and kisses her on the forehead. And he's still a little lightheaded, Basically, in his mind, in Tamaki's mind, he took what his father said about always wanting to kiss his adorable son no matter how old he gets. And he basically applied that to Haruhi because he sees her as a daughter, or in his found family, she is playing the role of the daughter. And so he's just trying to justify his feelings if this isn't paternal, if it's romantic. He's worried what will happen to the host club. While Tamaki is napping all peacefully, Mori senpai is absolutely overthinking about how Tamaki must have gotten sick because of him, and maybe he should have lied that yes, he does want to kiss Honey senpai even though he doesn't. He's just overthinking, like, oh, it's because of me. I answered to him honestly, and that's why Tamaki's so sick. It's because of me. Tamaki, despite being a dumb mess, puts up a lot of effort and never stops trying to learn about the closed-off Hitachinn twins. The twins decide to join the club since they appreciate his effort, and he was able to tell them apart twice, so they humor him, hoping to find some entertainment for themselves as well. His relationship with the twins is interesting, and obviously they're all so close and comfortable with each other for Tamaki to be able to say stupid shit like this.
Haruhi and I are the main characters, so that means we are love interests.
Yeah, then what are we?
You boys are the homosexual supporting cast.
Moving on to Haruhi.
I hate all these damn rich people.
Has she successfully gotten a taste of that fancy tuna? We will never know. She lost her mother when she was a young girl, taking on the role of the responsible child who grew up a bit too early since her father is somewhat of a mess. She doesn't mind though, especially knowing how hard he works to afford things for the two of them. She worries and cares a lot about Ranka, and I think Ranka being a drag queen is the reason why Haruhi doesn't care too much about physical appearances. Her monotone delivery is my favorite, and I'm obviously biased towards the English dub because I don't know, I just like it a little bit more than the sub, and if they ever do a reboot, I really hope that the voice actor can be the same, if she's alive and if we're still alive to see it. In my grave when they reboot it as soon as I die. Like, why? Please. Haruhi is the first one to tell the twins apart by their personality, their attitude, and speech patterns even. During summer vacation, the first one without Mei, the anime episodes, Haruhi gets into a squabble with Hikaru after he lashes out at Arai, Haruhi's middle school classmate. Arai in the episode is very welcoming and kind of super friendly, despite the twins and specifically Hikaru being a total asshole to him, right? Hikaru's jealousy takes over his emotions and he ends up being super aggressive and bitchy and mean towards Arai. And this is a glimpse of Hikaru's immaturity that us audience can get a glimpse of, because I don't really think that the show really showed a huge difference between the twins other than their hairstyles, but we know that they swap all the time. So this is our first look into their real personality traits. Kaoru is the more self-sacrificing one. He's also the more calm one, but he's the younger twin. Hikaru is the older twin, but is more childish and lets his emotions get the best of him. Back to Haruhi. She's just super chill, right? She's a kind-hearted individual who does her best to help others, and when she can't, she tends to sulk about it. You get to see that a lot in the manga when she feels helpless, that she can't help when the twins are fighting, and like for real fighting, and when Tamaki, he's having issues with his grandma, and when he can't see his mom and a bunch of other stuff, so she kind of beats herself down about it. Haruhi is pretty dense when it comes to the matters of the heart. She can't pick up when someone is flirting with her or is confessing to her. There are times when characters get rejected and she doesn't even realize she's rejecting them, like with Arai. And I don't think she realizes she kind of rejects Kaoru in the manga, but she rejects him. In Haruhi's defense, Arai was not clear about his feelings towards Haruhi. He doesn't say, "Hey Haruhi, want to go on a date? Hey Haruhi, I like you." You know, he says something about school and how they should go together, or how he wants her to go with him. And so I can see why Haruhi misunderstood him. It's kind of on him for that. It is fun to see a very non-dense side of Haruhi in the manga when she starts realizing her emotions for Tamaki, how she gets flustered, she blushes, she panics, she hides from him. We get to see a very different side of Haruhi. It's a little refreshing to see it. You know, some people don't like it because they want Haruhi to be dense and poker face the entire time, but come on, it's a love story. She was bound to become a little more, you know, sporadic eventually. So remember how eclair does not exist in the manga. Instead, the manga focuses on the sports festival arc. They don't really do proper sports. It's just a bunch of rich people style dinners and shenanigans here and there. The twins, they try and have Haruhi adopted. They tell their mom like, "Hey, this is Haruhi we were talking about. Can you adopt her?" And it's so cute and funny. But yeah, during that sports festival arc, they do a long parade and Haruhi is exhausted, so the twins have her switch into a dress and a wig and take a break from host club activities. They don't have to host anything. She can just chill out, and the rest of the host members are just, you know, being themselves. Well, toned down version of themselves, because their parents are there, other guests are there, right? So they're hosting like usual. Haruhi grabs a plate of food and starts eating it, looking around and observing everybody, observing people around Tamaki, observing kind of how judgmental a lot of the people around them are, you know? And as she's eating, Tamaki comes over and asks her, "Oh, what are you eating? That looks delicious." And without thinking, Haruhi kind of like takes the stuff from her food and kind of offers Tamaki a bite of her food, which everybody around them starts kind of being like, "Oh my god, are you seeing that? She's offering food from her plate? Oh, like everybody's being judgmental." And Tamaki doesn't like what he's hearing and eats it immediately. He is just through the roof over the experience because he's happy. He's like, "Oh my god, Haruhi gave me something to eat," because, you know, he likes Haruhi. So it's a good positive experience for him. But this interaction makes Haruhi kind of grateful for Tamaki being himself, and how he, despite being surrounded by people who care so much about keeping appearances, staying in a particular way, acting in a particular way, he is just himself, and he hasn't let that social life consume him. As the two keep having more adventures, you see this in the manga, Haruhi starts softening up towards Tamaki a lot without even realizing it, right? She's starting to fall for his personality. So if chapter 40 made Tamaki question his feelings for Haruhi, and he still didn't realize it, then chapter 55 is when Haruhi starts questioning her feelings for Tamaki. So around this time, Tamaki's class, including Kyoya, are on the field trip to France that I mentioned earlier. Tamaki was forbidden from going to the field trip to France, and Haruhi was on the phone with Kyoya talking about like, hey, how's the field trip going? Where's Tamaki? Is he with you? He's like, no, Tamaki's he's sick. He's got diarrhea. And as he says Tamaki has diarrhea, Haruhi was walking home on the phone, right? While on the phone with Kyoya, she notices a Tamaki. She's like, oh, Tamaki's here, right? And Kyoya's like, oh, fuck. Because he lied, he was covering for him. No one knows that Tamaki didn't go to the field trip other than Kyoya, right? And so Haruhi's all like, Kyoya just told me about the diarrhea. At that point, Kyoya hangs up because he hears Tamaki say, what? Kyoya has diarrhea? Of course, Haruhi gets mad and upset at him for not letting her know and other members of the host club know that he wasn't gonna go to France, right? She's like, we could have helped you somehow. Like, why didn't you tell me? She's really feeling sulky around this time because the twins at this point had already had their real fight. And so she's just really bummed out that no one comes to her for help, and she just feels useless. She's like, why can't I help my friends? They've helped me a lot. So she invites him in because somehow he ends up getting wet. I can't remember. He gets wet somehow. So she helps him in, she invites him in, and the two ends up having a proper, deeper conversation from his own mouth about his personal life. Not from Kyoya, not from Honey Senpai, but directly from Tamaki. Learning about him, his mother, his relationship, you know, how he used to live prior to coming to Japan, how his life was, and how his life is now, and how he's not allowed in the main mansion, right? She didn't know all of this family drama. Look at her expressions, she's so cute. Tamaki thinks the same thing too, and he, without even thinking, gives her a forehead kiss. This time he remembers it. He doesn't remember the first one he gave while he was half asleep. This forehead kiss, because it's the second time, really gets her heart racing. Haruhi is flustered by this whole thing. After this, Haruhi starts avoiding Tamaki like the plague everywhere. She's running away from him, and it's so obvious that the other club members start noticing it too, and they're like, oh, which sucks balls for Hikaru because he eventually does, despite knowing this. He tries to confess to her, but we'll get to that when I talk about the Hitachinn twins. Yeah, in chapter 57, Mei lends Haruhi a magazine, which ultimately helps Haruhi pinpoint her feelings for Tamaki. Number 1, your heart starts hurting when you think about him. Number 2, when he's happy, it makes you happy. Number 3, when he smiles at you, sometimes you feel like crying. Number 4, when you hear his voice in a crowd, more than anything. Number 5, you feel he has a lot of admirable qualities. Number 6, you want to help him. If you checked off more than 80 points in this test, heart, yes, you are in love with him. Damn, girlie needed a step-by-step analysis of her interactions with Tamaki to finally click that she might have a crush on him. The Hitachinn twins.
Oh, honey senpai! How did you ask that of her?
Don't upset her! Try to restrain yourself!
I guess I could whip something up, but it's gonna take me some time.
We can wait!
Why didn't we think of asking her that?
Finally, let's talk about the Hitachinn twins, Kaoru and Hikaru, who I believe are one of the best written characters in the manga. They can scare off a lot of people, like I said earlier, because of their weird incest routine in the host club, right? It's really jarring. It's like, what the heck is going on, right? But when they're not up in that shenanigans for the host club, they're pretty normal. Ever since the boys were little, they played the guess who's Hikaru, guess who's Kaoru game, hoping each time that someone would be able to tell them apart, but it seemed like an impossible task. One girl even apologized and asked the boys to please not cry. It hurt the twins to see that the hurtful words of their old maid had some truth to them. The twins had a maid who decided to rob them one day, but was caught by the twins, who promised not to tell their parents, but, and only but, if she played their little game. They also let her know that they had the safe's passcode hidden in their little piggy bank. Late at night, the maid broke the little piggy bank. She got the safe's password and grabbed whatever she could before making her escape from the window. The twins looked outside from the window, asking her why she didn't just play their game, to which she responded with this.
I can't tell you two apart. You're identical. You know, it's possible that no one will ever be able to tell which one's which.
That maid, the only person we ever liked, dropped that bomb on us and then disappeared into the night.
Thus began the long-standing trauma. The twins crave to be acknowledged as separate individuals, but have very little to no luck at school. Girls confessing their love to them wouldn't even be able to tell them apart, hurting them even more. If they can't tell the difference, what do they even like about them? Not their personality, because if they tried, they'd be able to see the difference between them. And so they harbor this resentment. Between their parents, only their father is able to tell the difference between them. Their mother always makes an effort to play the game and does her best, but she really can't tell the difference that much. Before the twins joined the club, they were closed off and kept to themselves. They didn't let anyone in, and as a result, they didn't have any friends. Tamaki was the first person to try and barge his way into their little bubble, into their little world. Eventually, they met Haruhi, who had figured out the difference between the two in a short amount of time. As time went, Hikaru found himself falling for Haruhi, and that's why he mainly freaks out at Arai. His jealousy of how relaxed the two looked when they were talking, and not to mention, Arai used to have a crush on Haruhi. All of this information just makes Hikaru so jealous and upset. He isn't used to sharing a beloved friend. He didn't even have a beloved friend before, so he doesn't know how to have a well-balanced relationship, how to gain control of his emotions, how to stay mature about all of this. Haru knows not to be rude, and he's hurting too, right? Because he likes Haruhi too, but Hikaru just doesn't think about that. Not till like later in the manga does he stop to be like, hey, we always like the same things. Same toys, same food, same people. Same people. Oh crap. Like he thinks about it way later. Kaoru, we all have seen episode 16 where he tries to make amends on behalf of Hikaru. He asks Haruhi on a date and he dips out in the last minute and has Hikaru swap in for him so that the two can go on a date. He's fixing them, right? He wants them to get along because he knows his brother's feelings for Haruhi. And like, look at Haruhi. She looks so cute. She looked cute in the manga, but she looks really cute colored in the anime too. So cute. Hikaru is being a grumpy little annoying brat through the first half of the date, but in the second half he calms down and starts enjoying himself. That is till it looks like it's going to rain and they run into Arai, and that's when his immaturity comes back and his jealousy strikes again, and he leaves Haruhi alone. We all know Hikaru gets a yelling, when he calls Tamaki. Tamaki chews him out and tells him how Haruhi is so scared of thunderstorms and that she hasn't come back home, so no, she did not take up on the offer from Arai. So he runs around looking for her and comes across a church where he finds Haruhi underneath a table, just scared shitless. So he puts his headphones over her ears and wraps her in a blanket and apologizes to her. The twins have always faked fights for the funsies, right? They do that in many episodes in the anime, but this time they have a fight for realsies. They have a fight when Kaoru starts hating on the fact that Hikaru won't act on his emotions and won't speak what's on his mind and won't be transparent about what's in his heart. That he likes to bottle up too much of his emotions, and he doesn't like that he's not openly pursuing Haruhi. It's one, because he wants to help his brother figure out his emotions and grow a pair to go and ask Haruhi out. And two, because he wants to be free from these feelings that he has for Haruhi. He feels like he needs to be independent of his twin and to separate everything, starting with separate bedrooms, which deeply hurts Hikaru, right? These changes are being asked of him way too quickly. Why are they having separate rooms? Why are they separating? Hikaru just doesn't understand this. He's feeling like this is coming out of nowhere. And to add to the mix, Kaoru tells Hikaru that he also likes Haruhi and that he intends to ask her to be his girlfriend, or at least to confess to her. This shakes up things between the two. Kaoru intentionally ignores Hikaru and creates distance between the two of them at school. He also flirts with Haruhi, asking her to put up with his attitude for 3 days. And at home, well, Kaoru is not at home. He actually runs over to Honey Senpai's place for a few days and just leans on him for support to try and figure out through this whole ordeal. Honey Senpai, the same as I, thinks that he's overthinking things and that he shouldn't have to separate, in order to achieve the same thing. They can work through this together. Hikaru ends up going over to Mori Senpai's place because he's sad and he's crying and he's like, why is Kaoru doing this, right? On the last day of the 3 days that he told Haruhi that he's gonna, be flirtatious, be mean to Hikaru, he takes Haruhi to an amusement park for a date. They hold hands as Kaoru tries to soak in the moment. Kaoru had also asked Mori and Honey Senpai to bring Hikaru to the amusement park, and Hikaru spots the two. While he is watching the two, Kaoru gives Haruhi a quick kiss on the cheek and confesses, following up with, but Hikaru is more important, leaving Haruhi very confused because she's like, huh? You said you like me, but Hikaru is more important? What does this all mean? We get to learn what's going on a little bit inside Kaoru's mind, right? He is paranoid of change. He's paranoid of this whole experience that they're going through with Haruhi, where the boys liked the same person. And it made him question their bond. He's worried that they won't grow, as people, and that they won't ever stop being so heavily dependent on each other. I think that the twins are more or less, because this is a problem with both Hikaru and Kaoru, but I feel Kaoru is the more anxious one. I think that they're just afraid of letting people in and they don't know how to handle it. So they think that creating this distance between the two of them is the best way to go about it. After the date is over, Kaoru goes over to Hikaru to resolve things, right? Telling him how he got rejected and how he felt no chemistry with Haruhi whatsoever. And Hikaru gets upset with Kaoru over the whole self-sacrificing and making all these drastic changes and whatnot. To avoid all the drastic changes that Kaoru wants, Hikaru simply dyes his hair a different color the next day. The two squabble a little bit, but it was much needed as Kaoru feels like Hikaru is maturing a little bit and feels like he doesn't need to worry as much about their bond fading away and that he was maybe a little paranoid. So we can be twins and we can be individuals of our own at the same time, just like Tamaki was telling them, right? He's slowly starting to make sense of what Tamaki was saying. Hikaru's confession. Now, Hikaru does get an opportunity to confess to Haruhi. He actually tells Tamaki how he's feeling. He's like, hey, boss, I like Haruhi and I'm going to ask her to be my girlfriend. And we're going on a skiing trip. So please do not come when the rest of the club members decide to come and visit us during our ski trip. Please. And so Tamaki stays at home and doesn't accompany the rest of them when they go to their skiing trip. It's a class field trip, but you know how the host club shows up wherever they want. So that's what he meant. Like, hey, if everybody else comes to visit us, can you please sit your ass at home? I don't know if Hikaru is starting to feel bad because now he knows that Haruhi likes Tamaki and he knows Tamaki likes Haruhi. So maybe he's feeling bad for Tamaki. So he's hoping that this evokes something in him. So on their ski trip, he does ask Haruhi to be his girlfriend and does get rejected by her because at this point she's realized her feelings for Tamaki, right? And she doesn't really feel anything for Hikaru. The first one is the T word. There's a slight difference between the anime and the manga, but the T word is used. It is episode 10 in the anime and chapter 13 for the manga. This particular episode hasn't aged well in terms of dubbing, in my opinion. I can't say anything about the subbing because I don't know the Japanese language that well to be able to tell you if the word that they used was bad. But in the manga, the only time the T word is used is in this panel right here, where the narrator is introducing Ranka to us, right? And in the anime, this narration is being voiced by Mori and Honey, right? But in the manga, no one brings up the T word other than Ranka himself for the occupation. And after the narration scene, this panel in the manga, the twins just show up to check on where Haruhi and Tamaki are. And they walk in and see, oh, it's Haruhi's dad. And they reach out, they go in for a handshake to introduce themselves as Haruhi's besties. And then from there, Mori and Honey are introduced. And then Kyoya shows up and is like, hey, yeah, Ranka and I've been keeping in touch since forever, so I've already known Ranka. And Haruhi's like, why are you keeping in contact with my dad? But in the anime, there are additional unnecessary conversations and lines added. Number 2 is the beach scene. Unfortunately, this stays the same in the manga, so the anime and the manga are the same. There's no slight differences. Believe it or not, the author said in one of the notes that Kyoya's rating went up after that episode, and I don't believe it. Maybe, I don't know. Apparently, this scene right here is fan service. This is fan service. I cannot believe that this is fan service. When I was younger, I didn't even register how creepy this was. And now I'm just like, oh, Kyoya. Here's the thing. In the manga, in the sports festival arc, Kyoyo does something weird again. I don't know, because it becomes like a running gag to the point where Tamaki even says, hey, we should make Kyoya dress up as a shady guy who kidnaps Mei or tries to attack Mei because he has so many shady scenes in the manga. But yeah, this one, they need to rework this if it ever gets rebooted. If you've watched Ouran High School Host Club, do you still like it? Is it still one of your favorites, despite the few, episodes that haven't aged well? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video, which I was thinking of revisiting just the anime of Maid-sama. I don't really have enough time to read the manga because I'm back in school, so I have a lot of homework and work and a bunch of other stuff. So see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.